welcome to Pre-Match Focus with your host, me, Tim.
And me, Lee. How you doing, mate? All right.
Not too bad, not too bad.
I actually kept my cue this time, didn't I? I was just when we got back to it last week, I was like, I was meant to.
You forgot you were a horse for a minute. So how have you been? How's your week been?
Yeah, well, the main thing is getting back to a good, clean bill of health. I think I'm pretty much back to normal now. So
Good.
that's the main thing. And then just getting back into work now, which has been all right, to be fair.
Happy
Been
days.
an all right week so far. So you been all right?
Yeah, been all right. Busy.
All
right. Same old, mate. You know.
Yeah. Well, we need it for Christmas now, don't we? So
yeah, exactly. That's it. And we're back to the football now, which is nice after that international load of nonsense.
Yeah, well, this actually feels like the season will actually start now, doesn't it? Because it's been a very stop-start, and I can't remember a season being like this. I mean,
I know what you mean.
The amount of international breaks we've had has been ridiculous, really. It's just like every 2 weeks you're just getting into it, and then you'll have one more week, and then you're back onto international. So
yeah, imagine how them players feel.
Yeah, I mean, after just coming off the back of the Euros and all that as well. So and then you got the World Cup next year, and they want to do that every 2 years. So it's just they're gonna have to be earning the money proper now, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely.
International players.
England players have been absolutely toss as well since they've come back from the Euros.
I know your two have Man U, haven't they? Maguire and Shaw have had a bit of stick.
I'd say if you think about majority of that team, Kane hasn't been at the races since the Euros.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Sterling hasn't really played well. Calvin Phillips has been injured and hasn't lit the world up, I suppose. Bukayo Saka just starting to find a bit of form again. You know, you go through them all, and there's not many that's played well. I'd tell you the only ones that I think have played well have been Jordan Pickford and Walker. Stones has done well, and who's on Declan Rice. That's about it. I'd say everyone else has really struggled.
Yeah, I say Stones just took a while to get back into the team as well, hasn't he? So
yeah, definitely.
Obviously, I want to rekindle his defensive relationship with Ruben Diaz now, won't he? So I'd imagine he'll want to push his way back in with Laporte.
Yeah, definitely.
As well, who's a defender I rate quite highly. But
yeah, I know. Yeah, they're on about him going, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, it could be the case, couldn't it? Could get to Spain or something and be the big gun over there, couldn't he, for Barcelona? Real Madrid?
He'd probably be a world beater over there as well.
Yeah, I'll rate him over here, but yeah, it'd be easy for him over there, won't it?
Yeah, easy for me and you over there, pal.
I don't know how strong with the heat.
Yeah, no, I'm not too bad. I like the heat. I like a happy medium between British weather and Mallorca. That'd be really nice. Somewhere in between, maybe like a consistent 28 all year long. That'd do me.
Yeah, that would be nice. I don't know if I'd still be able to play in it.
Yeah.
I think I like a little bit of light drizzle, as they say.
That fine rain that soaks you through.
Yeah, beautiful.
True Brit. Anyway, right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us again, and we're going to go through our match predictions and Leeds in-game tips again, as usual. You know the script. We're going to start with this week, Lee, the Saturday 12:30 kickoff, Lee, which is Leicester and Chelsea.
Yeah, if it's anything like the way Leicester left off, then there's. I mean, don't think it was their last game, was it? But I remember them playing at 12:30 against Arsenal, and they just didn't look like the World Cup in that game. So if they come back in the same vein of form against Chelsea with this, then it'll probably end up being a similar result. I've gone for 2-0 Chelsea myself.
Confident.
Yeah, I mean, I have that Chelsea might be fielding a slightly different team because of Champions League coming up, and they're focusing on that. But we'll see that once the lineups come out on Saturday. But I think Chelsea should comfortably win this game. I think it's going to be hard to say because it's hard to see what the teams are going to come back like after the international break again. So They both had a fair few players away. Chelsea probably more affected by that than anyone. But
yeah, absolutely. I think the fact that it's at Leicester, I've put a draw. I've gone with 1-1. I think Leicester is starting to pick up slightly better form. I think they've got a return of a few people from injury. I think Chelsea, as I say, international break, quite a few players gone off to internationals, and the fact that, I don't know, I just don't think it's going to be an easy one from this. I think I might go thinking it's an easy one, but I just think it'll be a draw.
I do wonder if the talk of Rodgers going to United eventually might affect Leicester as well, but we'll see about their reactions on Saturday, won't we? So
yeah,
this is all guessing games. Obviously, we're gonna feel that it's gonna pan out, but it could be completely opposite. They might actually be really fired up. So
they might be fired up because at the end of the day, there's nothing concrete there in regards to United. I know there's been a lot of talk, but I also read a lot about Zidane's been in talks now with United. So today I'd read it. So maybe, who knows? We'll see what happens. But I just don't think they're going to be rushing the United board.
Yeah, I think they'll take the time with it, but we'll see. I think things like this can disrupt camps out. So especially if he's a well-liked manager, which I'd imagine he is. Seems quite a calm guy, doesn't he? I think
definitely
the type of guy that they can go up to and get a response from. So and seems to be hands-on with like an hands-on man manager. So we'll see what brings. But I've gone 2-0 Chelsea.
Ideal. So Lee, what's your in-game tips for Leicester and Chelsea then?
Because I've gone for 2-0, I've just gone for Chelsea to get a clean sheet. I mean, like, you could even back Chelsea to win the game itself. Should be at half decent odds to win away at Leicester. So one of those two, really.
Ideal. Right, on to the 3 o'clock kickoffs. So Saturday 3 o'clock, Aston Villa, Brighton, Lee.
Yeah, there's a fair few new managers coming in this weekend, isn't there? So it's going to be even harder to pick this week. I mean, you could go with the new manager bounce and all that, but it doesn't really have as much effect these days.
No, I think it's close all round these days.
Yeah, but I do think will have the effect in this one. I'll just go funny feeling if I was to visualise the game in my head for this one, it's going to be tough for them to break down a Brighton side that's in good form and very hard to beat this season. I feel like I can see a late winner coming for Villa in this one, and it'll be a 1-0. That's going on if they take in his tactics straight away, and if it's going off last season's form with Rangers where they were hard to break down, but they were scoring a few goals as well this year. But Rangers, you're seeing with the fans back, you're seeing Rangers conceding a lot of goals. They're very sloppy. Obviously, he's got a different team taken on now. Brighton pose their threats, don't they? They've got some big guys at the back. They can play forward now, Mbappé and Trossard. Are dangers. So I'm sure they beat Villa at their place last season as well, or even the season before when the fans were there.
Definitely win Villa, I think.
So definitely a 1-1.
Yeah, I definitely think
I was there
at some point.
Yeah, I do remember them winning there not long ago, whether it was just last season or the season before. Brighton ain't going to be no pushover in this, but I think there's just a slight little fairy tale for Gerrard to get his first game off with a win. But I think it'd be hard fought, and I think it'd be quite late on. It'll be decided. Yourself?
Well, sorry to the scouter, but I don't think it's going to be a fairy tale for him. I'm going with a draw again, 1-1.
I think he'd be happy to take a point out of a Brighton team in form, as long as the performance is there with it and the attitude's there.
Yeah. I just think the fact that it is fresh, he's not had that long with them. I think, they've got a good squad. As I say, they've got a hell of a chance to build Villa, but so have Brighton. And I just think the way Basuma's back, he's been playing well again. He just makes that team tick. And he just wins so much in that midfield and just gets the ball on the way again and sets the likes of Trossard on the way. And as I say, McAllister, they've just got some really exciting players, really, Brian. And I think it'll be a bit of a deadlock. I just can't see a winner in it. I think that's the top and the bottom of it. I just can't see anyone prevailing over the other. I think it's got draw all over it. But I see what you're saying. It could even be a 0-0 with a late winner. And I don't know which way that late winner would go if I had to pick. But it could be
it is tough. I mean, like, yeah, you get consistency with teams outside of the top 6, but you don't really get consistency in terms of winning week after week. And maybe Brighton don't pick up those 3 points here. If they do, then fantastic for them. They're going to be flying. So.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, they'll be nailed on for the top 10 finish if they win this one, I think. So. The way they're going.
I think they'll be looking for that, aren't they? Looking to try and progress and get into the top half, or, you know, I think that'd be any kind of Brighton fan. And
yeah, well, the realism is that Villa have lost God knows how many on the bench, and that's still the same team that Gerrard's taken on. So he's just got to change that mentality from losing to believing in themselves a bit more again there. But Brighton will be looking at that and thinking, look, they've lost these last so many games and not really performed in them. Let's just unsettle them and, you know, just get us them.
I think the thing is,
an interesting game.
The thing is, with some of the Villa team, they're a bit like United, where a few of them just don't press anymore. They've stopped kind of running back, and obviously he won't allow that. But it's whether that comes to the forefront earlier. Do you know what I mean?
Well, Dean Smith in the Championship, that was his game, really, wasn't it? Pressing quite hard on teams, and that's so. He'll have to probably instill this back into Norwich himself we'll talk about that when we get to it. But it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see how he implements it, because it's not going to be winning week after week now for Gerrard. So we'll see how it goes.
I think he'll do all right. And
I think he'll do a good job. We mentioned it, didn't we, sir?
Yeah. Right then. So on to the second one.
Oh, do you want your in-game tip?
Oh, sorry, bud. Yeah, your in-game tips.
For this one, I've gone. I think it'll be a tight game, and I think it'll be a little bit scrappy at times. I think so. I've gone for over 45 booking points on this one.
Red card.
I've seen that the ref was somewhat. I'm sure it was John Moss I saw, or Anthony Taylor, one of the two. I can't quite remember, and they're quite, well known for dishing out the cards as well. So, or even alternatively, as I've gone for the Villa win, just keep an eye out on that, because I think the odds will be good on that with their form. So
there you go, guys. Take a pick at whatever you want, and there's a couple of options there for you. But we'll go on with Burnley and Palace then, Lee.
It's going to be. I mean, if any football fan was to probably look at it from the outside looking, and be like, oh. But Palace have been impressive this season, haven't they? Burnley have started picking up a few more points recently.
Yeah.
But I don't think Palace travel as well. I know they picked up a point against Arsenal, didn't they? And obviously they did beat City. But I think they sort of like G themselves up for games like that, where they want to try and upset the bigger boys. But I think when it comes down to games like this with Burnley, it'll be a bit tougher for them. Burnley know how to work their own ground, so I've gone for a 1-1 draw on it. But I think a few Palace fans will probably go a bit mad saying, well, we're informed, blah, blah, but, again, you're coming back from an international break, your momentum drops a little bit.
Not that they've got too many coming back from an international break. I know Benteke has been out.
No, I'm thinking more along the line of cohesion in match play, really, together. Obviously, I think that's where your form builds up, isn't it? Playing loads of matches together.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a Connor masterclass again. Conor Gallagher. I think he's a kid in. Honestly, I think he is a superb player. He's going to be a massive, massive player. him for England and or Chelsea and or Crystal Palace or whoever wanting to sign him, because I think there'll be a lot wanting to sign him, to be honest. And I think he'll do all right there. And I fancy Palace getting the points. I fancy Vieira's turn. They just look a different animal, Palace, this year. Even if they're not picking up 3 points to get in the draw, they're just slightly different. They just seem a bit edgier, a bit grittier.
Yeah.
And just more. The shape just seems really good, and the attacking threat. Obviously, they've always had a slight attacking threat, but nothing like they've got now.
Yes, he's actually one of my tips. Keep an eye on Gallagher to score any time, really. So
2-1 Palace for me, bud.
I've gone one apiece, and both teams to score would be my other tip on that. I think both teams will nick a goal in it.
Yeah, I think they'll both score 2. Ideal. Right, so richest club in the Premier League in the world against Brentford.
It's another new manager in, obviously, Eddie Howe. Been away for a while. Could play its part in the result. I have gone for the Newcastle win just based on Brentford's form, but at the same time, I did say a few weeks ago that Brentford will lose the form and they'll find it tough to come back from. This will probably be the best chance to change it back. So it's really hard for me to say confidently that Newcastle would win this, but I'm just thinking again that maybe the place might just G up for the new manager. It'll be a bit of fight from Newcastle. But
listen, Leroy, I'm on your page, Lee. I've gone with 2-1 Newcastle in this. I fancy Eddie Howe.
Exactly the same as what I've gone for.
I fancy Eddie Howe. I fancy Eddie Howe to turn things. I watched this little training, his first week at Newcastle video.
Did you?
Yeah, and he's all these training and whatever. Couple of shots, a couple of Newcastle players are a bit like, what's going on here? But he's literally implementing tactics already, and yeah, I think he'll do all right there. I think he'll be a good fit for him there. I do. I don't think he'll struggle there. I think he'll do all right in Newcastle, and I think he's the type of person they need right now, really.
Yeah, but they need. I mean, like you take away his final year at Bournemouth, and he's always done quite well, hasn't he? I think the issue you might have with what he has proven as manager, his signings haven't been amazing, have they? Like when he's come to spending big money.
Well, like
at the same time,
Planky.
But yeah, well, at the same time, he's proven himself to be one of the best strikers in the Premiership, isn't he? So in the Championship. So he probably needed that step down to pick himself up, because it's a big weight on your shoulders to become the main man at the Premier League team when you had match experience. So it might actually have turned out to be a good one for him, but I don't know. I think for very long Bournemouth stayed up, they just got found out.
Yeah.
Um,
and the thing is, you look at that, even in the Premiership, when they were overachieving for a few seasons on the bounce, you looked at that team, and in general, the back line, you were like, who?
yeah.
Who? You always knew the goalkeeper, but Begovic was getting on a little bit, and what was the fella called who came from Southampton? Boric.
Boric, yeah.
Boric, yeah. And
you had Ramsdale there in the last year, didn't you? But...
yeah. So they've at the time they'd always had a steady goalkeeper, like, but nothing amazing. And then the back line were always a bit like maybe they had Daniel left back, and he could strike a ball, but he seemed a bit suspect at the back. And then
but I mean, like Cook and Metham were okay. I think they're very good Championship defender. Not bad at Premier League level, but you probably just need that bit more quality next year as well in terms of that. So
I agree. But then you look into midfield and they were a bit better, and then up front they were always really strong. I think the wide men and the forwards were always really good.
Callum Wilson was
King. Yeah, they're both brilliant for him.
Yeah, so he's obviously I've never actually thought of that idea. He's got Callum Wilson back, hasn't he? So we all know how he works and all that. So yeah, I never thought of that. And Matt Ritchie will be there as well, and if he'll be an old favourite. So.
Yeah, of course, man, of course. So a bit of reunited.com for Eddie Howe. But I just think he'll do all right there. I just think that team's a bit of a decent suit for him. I just look at it and I think you've not got any major superstars there, so he's not having to deal with superstars yet.
Yeah,
but,
might be coming.
Yeah, but with players like that, of that kind of ilk, I just think he'll excel himself a little bit. I just think it's made for him. And I just think if he implements the right tactics, you look at how Bournemouth were when they came up. They were a tough team to play, meaning they were really busy. They were full of energy. They got forward like they just weren't scared. And I think if you implement that into the likes of Newcastle with like Sam Maximan, Callum Wilson, Almiron, all these players, to give them that little bit of a boost and a bit of a shape knowing what they're doing, because they go forward and they create lots of chances anyway. But it's the shape of the team which always looks dodgy with Newcastle. You can break them lines so easily, and whereas that's the problem, and that's where they falter all the time. It's because although they look dangerous going forward, as soon as that ball breaks midfield, you're almost like, oh dear, because Hayden and whatever, they're not up to it, in my opinion. But they might be up to it, but we haven't seen it. It's just one of those things. Maybe tactics and being organised properly will work for these players. But as I've said before, we had that Newcastle takeover chat, and I said the whole back line needs to go for me. I think
it will eventually,
bar maybe Lascelles or whatever. I just think they're just not up to it.
Well, this could be the interesting thing, because from what I've viewed of Brentford, even though I did moan about their time wasting antics against Wolves, Tony and then Bramo, if they are in that kind of form against Newcastle, it depends how line Eddie Howe plays as well, because he's playing in a much bigger stadium in terms of the length of the pitch from what you see as well. Being Court was quite small and compact, like an old library, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
So it'd be interesting to see how he implements his backline, like how high they play up. Because if they play really high against Mbeumo and Turner, they could be asking for some problems, really.
Yeah, well,
Mbeumo can just zip past you in a second. So
yeah, definitely. So I'll tell you what, Tony back at Newcastle as well.
Yeah, didn't really have much game time there. He was there a while, wasn't he? But he just never really got the break in the team.
He'll have something to prove there, won't he?
Yeah, it might be made for him to score there, hadn't it? So we'll see. But yeah, I've gone 2-1 on this one, and my tip for the game would be both teams to score, no draw.
Ideal. You heard it here first. Right, so on with the next one then. Norwich and Southampton.
Another new manager. I don't think I've quite seen one like this, though, where one's got sacked and then had a new Premier League team by the time the next international breaks come round. Obviously, you've had managers leave and then come into, into a new club, which is the norm. But for someone to get sacked and then get another Premier League job within 6 days,
that's quite impressive.
It's quite a new one. I think obviously they must have had something else in mind until seeing that Smith had gone. Obviously,
I'll tell you what, that's a good project for Dean Smith. That.
Yeah.
I fancy him do all right with them. I must admit, not going to say they're going to stay up. I think they'll pick up points towards the end of the season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you look at it there, they're only 5 points off the 17th, aren't they? I think so. It's not horrific.
Tell you what, you look at Burnley lose to Palace, like I predicted, and Brentford lose to Newcastle, and Watford lose to potentially United. Tell you what, that league table will start looking slightly different.
Yeah, well, especially if Norwich get the win there. Again, it's going to be another game where they're going to be up for it. I think the fans have got to get behind them and believe in the project that Smith brings. So, as you mentioned, it's a good job for him, because I think with him getting the sack at Villa, you look at any other team, say if every job vacancy was up there, they'd probably wouldn't be any other team that would have him as their first choice manager. Not saying he's a bad manager, but with what he's had at Villa, to be, I think he left in 16th, didn't he, or something like that. For him to be in that position,
true reflection of how they are, really. To be honest, I think it would you started off the season flying, you know,
yeah.
and it just
They had a great season last season. We dipped off at the end, didn't it?
Mm-hmm. I just think you lose your best player, and they expect him to shit rainbows, like, you know. And I think, unfortunately, you're taking a lot of goal contributions out of a team by just Grealish alone going.
Yeah.
You know, I think they've signed, and I don't think they've signed badly. I think they've signed quite well, the likes of Bailey and, you know,
Wendy is there, you know, and Ings. I mean, Ings should be, if he had the service of Grealish, he's yeah.
Wait till he starts flying.
Yeah, I say Bailey hasn't really started yet, has he? He's been a bit stop-start, hasn't he? So, but yeah, it's just
well,
a
I
tough
just
one.
think Dean Smith is made. He's another one. He'll be made for this position for Norwich. Let's be having you.
Yeah, old Delia be up.
But old Delia should be shitting kittens, won't she?
But Southampton have been in great form recently, haven't they? They've really picked up. Flew up there. So,
well, on that note, I've gone with Southampton to win 2-1.
Have you? I've gone for just the fans to probably get them a little bit of an edge, and it'll be 2-2.
Oh. I think you're like a closet Norwich fan, you. I think.
I was just thinking in my head when I said it. I said, I don't think I've had them to lose this season.
No, honestly, you're sucking up to Norwich fans, and I think they're going to be loving you, sending you like fan mail soon.
Well, Wolves fans don't like Norwich fans, so I don't worry, I got a soft spot for them. I don't know why. I think it's because they don't like us for some reason. I think it's something to do with Kevin Muscat, I think, back in the day. So that was it. Yeah, he kicked the fuck out of Craig Bellamy. So
talk about holding a grudge.
Yeah, I think there might have been another one who got an injury off him as well. But I think Muscat just did that to everyone he come up against, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think he's special. He does it to everyone.
But yeah, the defeats will come in my predictions for Norwich. Don't worry about that. Eventually, they'll probably be playing someone like who's in bad form, Watford this home or something next week.
So, what's your in-game tips for this one, then, Lee?
For this one, because I went for 2-2, I've gone for over 2.5 goals. I think you could see some early goals in this one.
Yeah, I think so too.
And maybe a couple added on late on, like scattered across the game. So yeah, over 2.5 goals I've gone for.
I'd have won some money with my prediction then.
Yeah, you would, yeah. But you'd be pushing it close. You'd be pushing it close.
Oh yeah. Right then, on to Watford and Manchester United.
Yeah, well, we've got to start winning and consistently, haven't they, United soon now? Because you mentioned that there's no rush to sack Ole. Bloody hell, I mean, if they lose this one.
I think it could be over if they lose this one.
Yeah.
I think there's no way back if they lose this one.
Yeah. There'll be no excuses for them. They'll be like, you know, what backing can we give him if you've lost to Watford team that, you know, they're trying to impress under Ranieri. He had a bad start. It was against Liverpool. And
got completely battered by both of our biggest rivals.
Yeah. But they did go and batter Everton as well, didn't they? So they're just very unpredictable in the way, I suppose. It'd be interesting to see how they turn up. Maybe he's had a couple of weeks to work a bit more with him now, Ranieri. So,
yeah.
But I can only see United having to respond in this game, and I've gone for a 3-1 win to United.
I've gone with a 3-1 win to Man United. Check
well,
us out, Lee.
That's defeat for United, isn't it?
Yeah, probably, mate. Yeah, I know. I was thinking that when I predicted.
You've backed them now.
Now. But then again, I've been predicting us to draw most of the season, and we've been getting heavily battered. So, but I just think for something like this, I think, as it always is, when he's under major pressure, he pulls something out the hat.
Or Ronaldo pulls something out of me.
Yeah, but it masks the big problem for like another week.
It does, yeah. It is the old saying of papering over the cracks, isn't it? So
yeah, big time. And that's what happens. And Ollie's got a massive thing about doing that. It just seems to be his way. And I don't know. I just think something like this, I can see United winning it. I can see it being fairly comfortable. I think Watford could go ahead.
They've struggled at home this season. I mean, like, I've watched them a few times. I watched them against Newcastle and against Wolves themselves. And yeah, they did push against Newcastle a bit. And I suppose they give Wolves a couple of scares. But I think when you get United coming up, I think they're a little bit more potent in the attack than what the other two teams were that I've watched. Well, a little bit. They're a lot more potent, when you got Ronaldo up top and Cavani plays. Because if they link up the way they did against Spurs.
If he's fit, Cavani, he's got to play for me every game. I play him in Ronaldo. I played that 4-4-2 with that team in a minute. I just think go back to basics. Stop confusing everything. Go back to old school and see how it works.
Yeah, I'll say they'd be Tottenham to shreds, didn't they? Those two.
Yeah,
and that was again. I mean, Tottenham ain't known for having a wonderful defence these days, but obviously a higher class than what Watford are at the moment. So.
Yeah.
But yeah,
because England have beaten San Marino, they're gonna Harry Kane with his 4 goals. Come on, it was like playing blind school, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well,
I think England should be disappointed more than anything that they didn't score 15. Because to be honest, I said honestly in the daytime, I was talking to a few people and I turned around and said, if it isn't 12-0, they should be disappointed in themselves. And honestly, it got to 10, and I'm like, oh, all right. And then it got to, obviously, they had the goal disallowed for 11, but still, every attack they should have scored against them.
It'd be interesting to see how it go if actually went full pelt at them, because it does just look like a little stroll in the park, doesn't it? But
it was embarrassing. I actually started feeling sorry for him. It's almost like they've got to take San Marino out. They've got to take them out of this because, I understand it's great for these players to be playing against the likes of England and all these big paid players and that are on the tellies every week. But come on, it's embarrassing. I was embarrassed watching it. I was embarrassed at how poor we looked at times anyway. Just first touches and just running into a brick wall. Literally everything they were doing at times, it was like they were trying to walk the ball in the net. You've got a goalkeeper who's probably no better than a painter and a decorator. Just have a flaming shot, and that's what will wind me up. And
well, the best alternative is those teams like maybe your Andorras and things like that, and Liechtenstein's, is to have a pre-qualifying qualifier. Group for them to get the right to play these teams. So.
Exactly that, Lee. Exactly that. Exactly my sentiments.
Because they do it in other sports, don't they? Like the cricket and the rugby, I believe, don't they? For sort of like pre-qualifiers, aren't they? So. Yeah,
because it's a waste of space. It's waste of space. You can't be proud of yourself coming out of that game going, hey, we won 10-0 today against San Marino. Yeah. They were awful. And it's not their fault. It's far from their fault. But you got to look at it. And, you look at years ago when, to be honest, every year, San Marino get battered by everybody, right? Everybody. And I just think, come on. It's just something like you were saying would work perfectly because it sifts the shit. Sifts the shit out, and basically you're not having that embarrassment. And it's a competitive sport, or apparently anyway. Obviously, it's losing its edge as a competitive sport. It's losing its edge as it's becoming like a non-contact sport.
Yeah.
You watch some of the games these days, and it's almost like put a tackle in. What's wrong with you? Get stuck in. And no one's willing to do it anymore. Just all this shifting across in the line. Just need one player go and take the game by the scruff of the neck and just go and get stuck in. Because in my day, he got told, find the best player, hit him hard, he won't be interested. And how true is it? You look at some of these world beaters, right? You look at someone like Pogba in United's midfield, right? He's a prime example for it. It's all this fancy holding off and doing this. As soon as someone goes rifling in on him, say it was second or third minute, you don't hear from Pogba again.
Yeah.
Done. Big time. Right, yeah. So anyway, less of the rant about my team anyway. I've gone for them to win. We've both gone for them to win 3-1. What's your in-game tips then, Lee?
I've gone for the sneaky suspicions, a risky one, but there might be a penalty in the match.
Ronaldo?
Right. It could be Watford getting the penalty, I don't know. Could be an handball from Ronaldo in the penalty. I don't know, I just get a funny feeling there might be a penalty in the game. So I know the thing you're saying, yeah, it's like stereotypical with United, but it could be Watford again. I just get this funny feeling there will be one away.
Watford are going to score.
Yeah, well, we've both gone for that, haven't we? So we'll see.
There's your penalty.
I'll break down that defence.
Right, on to your team then, Lee. Wolves and West Ham.
Yeah, again, we all. This is why I say about the international breaks. You obviously see my own team because you just don't know what you're going to come back into. We've ended with a poor performance. I mean, like that was maybe the good thing on the last end of the international break was poor performance against Palace. One definitely the worst performance under Bruno.
Yeah.
Just didn't look like doing anything. But I think being back with the home fans and getting in a bit of nippier weather and everyone going out for a jolly up there, there'll be a bit of a heaty atmosphere there. So then West Ham.
Portuguese are like that. Oh, not into this. Didn't tell me we're like this in flaming November and December.
Yeah, we'll see how booted up Bruno is when he. Mind you, he has been over here a few years now, really, apart from the Benfica spell. But he probably knows what it's all about if he's been managing in Wales or coaching in Wales. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it'll be a tasty game. I found out today that Mike Dean's the ref as well, so could be very. Yeah, could be a very fiery game now. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't usually keep his hands out his pockets at Molineux. He usually just go for a spell of about half hour where you think Dean's having an okay game there. Then it's just like yellow.
His twitchy hand, his idle hands start going. Need to produce a card. Card. What for, ref? Don't know. Anything.
He needs to keep his hands warm this time, as he'll be having them furry pockets going round.
Do you know what? He won't dish out so many cards if he's got his gloves on.
Can't see none of them, do you? Referees wearing gloves.
Be funny though.
Obviously, we're coming up against the West Ham team in good form. Again, the break may just break off their momentum a bit.
Yeah. I've
gone for a 2-2 draw in this one. I think could be one of the games of the weekend. I think if these two teams really go at each other, it could be one of the most entertaining games at the weekend. So,
well, I second that, but I've gone for a draw, but I've gone with 1-1. I fancy Wolves getting something out of it. Definitely being at home, and they're starting to look a lot better outfit. Really, I think. Your manager's obviously Lads has actually got to a point now where you can see him implementing his tactics on the team.
He's definitely more of a manager. He's probably more of a manager of what I've seen than what Nuno was. Nuno's probably more I'll say tactician. I think probably just took everything in. I think.
Yeah.
I think he had his team. He had a big team as well, didn't he? Nuno, so he probably wasn't as the mastermind as what we thought he was when he had his 3 good years here, but Bruno just seems to have everything all screwed on really, and what he wants and what goes as well. So
definitely, I agree with that. 100%. So what are you saying in your in-game tips then, Lee?
Well, I love a fullback booking up against the Wolves wingers where we focused then. So Aaron Cresswell hasn't been booked this season, but he is quite consistent in getting them in recent years. So he probably gets about 4 or 5 yellows a season. So
he's been lucky in a few, might add, as well, though. He should have had some sending off, and he's got away with it.
Yeah, it's a scouse in him now, isn't it? Let's kick people about. Also, Souček, I think, has only been booked once this season, so keep an eye on him as well. Two good options for bookings there, I think.
Ideal. Right, so on with the last game of Saturday then. It is the 5:30 kickoff, which is Liverpool and Arsenal.
Yeah, this is probably where I've had a little bit of rant before saying where when big teams usually play each other, they're usually quite drab, but these games are usually quite entertaining, these ones, aren't they? Usually a lot of goals in them.
Well, I heard Mane, Robertson, Henderson are injured at the minute too.
Oh, so I could actually make my actual prediction for this seem a bit more. It's not in Arsenal's favour because I've had Liverpool to win, but I've had Arsenal score 2 goals there, so I've gone for Liverpool 3-2.
Oh.
But because Arsenal have picked up, haven't they? They're back up there. They've got to really test themselves now. They've got to come up against these bigger teams and show that they're on the comeback trail, I suppose.
Yeah.
They've had a few weird results where obviously they went up against Palace and then threw it away, where they should be seeing them games out, especially when they were by a couple of goals. But to beat teams like Leicester away too, I think they'll just go there with a free shot. And I think Arteta's got to say that too. He says you've got a free hit here, just try and hurt them because they can't be bowed down. Teams like Brentford, Everton, put 3 past them. So why can't you?
As I say, Trent's the man to attack. And I think Robertson's the man to attack a bit this year. I don't think he's been the same player at all. But obviously, if he's definitely out, which they said he was injured, then you're coming up against Tsimikas, aren't you? And I think he's still, jury's out for me. He looks a decent player, but...
Yeah, he played well against Wolves in Europa. A lot of look of him, I thought when Liverpool signed him, this is perfect backup for Robertson, really.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I've gone with 2-1. 2-1 to Liverpool. I think similar to you, but I don't think there'll be as many goals as that. I'd like to see more goals, and I hope you're right. It'd be a hell of a scoreline and a hell of a game with a 3-2. But I just think still Liverpool are just that little bit too strong for the likes of Arsenal yet. I look how they completely dismantled United.
Yeah.
And I don't see why they couldn't do that to Arsenal, to be honest.
They can hurt them, definitely, but I think Arsenal just have a little bit more form about them. So I think that's what I'll keep. I'll say the scoreline then. If it's going by my position, still conceding 3 goals.
So what's your in-game tips for this one then?
Simply, it's got to be the bank of the weekend for me. I've just gone over 2.5 goals.
Over 2.5 goals. I'd have won some more money then. Happy days.
Yeah, needs to put all these on, definitely.
You'll do for me, Lee. So, right, on to Sunday. The 2 fixtures on Sunday. We've got the 2 o'clock, first of all, which is Man City and Everton.
Yeah, did City play Man U in the last game before the international break? Was that the last one?
Yes.
I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So same back to the usual self. Everton, if people were saying like their recent form ain't been great, and if they even so much as put in the performance of what they did the first half against Wolves against City, they're going to get absolutely wiped away. So
absolutely.
I think 99.9% of people only see a City win, really. Usually Everton can usually give them a game, but I just think with the form they're in, it's going to be hard for them to get back into it. But I have mentioned a few times that City sometimes a little bit slow after the international break, getting the gelling of their free-flowing football together. So, but with this one, I've gone on the fact that where I was watching that first half of Everton against Wolves, so I've gone for 3-0 City.
And I've gone for 3-0 City too.
Weird, isn't it?
Doing all right this week, Lee.
I know, but I mean, we usually share our results, don't we? But we haven't done it this week.
I don't think we'll do it anymore. I think we're a bit closer when we don't share results.
Very weird.
I just think City, they're just a different beast, aren't they? And it's not like, oh, I wonder which City's going to turn up. You know, they're going to create 28 shots. They're still missing an out-and-out number 9 for me. But I think the top and the bottom of it is they create so many chances with all of whoever they bring on to. It doesn't make any difference. They've got the same threat. Even the fullbacks are so lively. Cancelo, it just makes such a difference. The fact that they've got people bombing on from everywhere. So I think, I just think they're too much. Everton are in a bit of free fall, down in 11th at the minute now. And I think, obviously, if Leicester get a result as well and Southampton get a result, they'll probably leapfrog Everton. And Everton can find themselves down in 13th this weekend. So I just think...
Yeah, interesting you should mention Cancelo. He seems to be getting shots in every game. So he actually becomes part of my tip for this week. I have him to score any time.
Score any time with Joe Cancelo?
Yeah, because big great odds, I'd imagine. Because I don't think he scores the odd few here and there, but I think he's getting that many shots away at the moment.
He fancies a shot every game, doesn't he?
Yeah. So expect one to creep in at some point. I mean, that might be one that I'll be keeping my eye on every week now with him.
Yeah, he'll be in top scorer in Premier League.
The odds won't be as good as he keeps scoring, that's the problem.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. And on to the 4:30, I think it is kickoff on Sunday, which is Tottenham and Leeds.
Yeah, well, you expect Conte usually gets off to a decent start at his new clubs, doesn't he? He didn't have the greatest. I think that was against Everton, wasn't it? Was it 0-0? Something like that.
Got a draw.
Yeah, I mean, going to Goodison's tough, but
don't forget they've got Harry Kane, who's fresh off San Marino.
Funnily enough, I'll mention my tip now. I've had him to be the first scorer because I know it's against San Marino, but I think it's his manager's home debut. Usually, he'll probably be the man to step up. Could be something like a penalty itself again there, but I've had him to be the first scorer in this game. I think with him scoring, was it 7 goals on international duty? Yeah, against teams where he should be just absolutely dodling you. But you know, goals breed confidence, don't they? So it doesn't matter who you score them against.
How is it? How international football, the quality is so much shiter than Premier League football?
I don't know. I think it might be something to do with if you're on about like an actual in-game. I think it might be the fact that they just don't train with each other week in, week out. But and you, like I say, we're coming back to an international break here, where I've mentioned with City maybe being a bit slower. It's just the form and the gelling together, isn't it? I think that's the way I see it, but it could be a matter of opinion to anyone really how it works. And the Premier League's quite fast. International's fairly slow, isn't it? But
yeah, I think that's what it is. I think you're probably right there. Yeah. Well, anyway, I think Leeds. I want Leeds to do all right. Surprising as a United fan, but I'd like them to stay and retain their position in the Premier League. They're just above Villa at the minute in 15th, and I just think.
Yeah, we need these clubs in the Premier League, don't we? With the the set of fans. So there's
best fans in Premier League, I'd say. If you had,
I mean, it's rare. I've seen Wolves fans come back from a game and say how good the home fans were. If they've obviously been to an away game, and they got high praise, Leeds did, for being a really. I think that in every game, I think you get a little bit of a quiet patch, but then they said when they were starting to pick up closer to goal, then they're really getting behind the team. And you need teams like that, like the one with the fans that they've got. You know, it's what we've been missing for a while, and it's great to have them back.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they've struggled with injury a lot this year. If you look, the whole of back line row at one stage, you know, and you just need a bit of a break, I think. And obviously Bamford's still been out, and what's the fella, Dan Ayling's been out, and obviously Calvin Phillips has only just come back, and Rafinha was out for a little bit, and they've really struggled with injury. And I think we've got a good goalkeeper there. I think they do struggle at the back a little bit, but I like the Struik fella, not a Strike or whatever he's called.
Strike. Pascal Strike.
That's the, hey, Strike. I think he looks a good player. I think he'll be a good one.
Yeah, for his age, seems very mature. He looks a little bit like a Van Dijk, doesn't he? I suppose.
Yeah.
In his appearance, like his hair and his his height as well. Got a fair bit of height to him. So.
Yeah, he's a fairly stocky lad.
Yeah.
I just think this will be a bridge too far for him this weekend away as well.
I think it's a contact factor. I think if it's Nuno in charge at the moment, I'd probably have had Leeds and nick a 2-1 win, to be honest.
I think I probably would, to be honest. But because he's had a week and a half, I suppose, now. A couple of weeks, I suppose, coaching his team. And Conte does what Conte does, and I don't think he'll shirk that responsibility being at Tottenham. I think he'll scrape wins and he'll make sure they've got a winning mentality. And I suppose if anyone can get the best out of Harry Kane and sort his sulky chops out right now, it's going to be Antonio Conte. So, but I go with 2-1 me, Tottenham.
Yeah, I've gone 2-1 as well.
Oi! Boom. Me and Lee are on form tonight, guys. On it.
So, after doing the EFL one, see how many of them we get on the same page.
We'll do an EFL special at some point. We'll do.
It'd be good to have a talk about them. I think growing up as a Wolves fan, it was a division I've encountered as a lot in, really, up until the last few years. Mainly in the Championship. So I haven't watched it as much. Been a bit of a Premier League snob recently, but. But I still keep my eye out, and I still like a lot of the teams there now. I love to see certain teams do well and get close, especially the teams that haven't been Premier League for a while or never have been Premier League. Good to see them.
And Derby being deducted another 12 points.
Yeah, well,
they're gone now, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, if you put it into it, I think they might have still been within relegation trouble, but they've been hard to beat this season.
Yeah,
but
that's cemented
with the players they've had.
Yeah, it cemented the downfall. That for me, I think it could have been recoverable as it was, but not now. 21 points adrift from safety now with this, and that's just too big a gap. Far too big a gap.
Reading have had 6 points deducted today as well.
Oh, have they?
Yeah, it's come a bit of a surprise. I didn't know nothing about it, but I heard it on the radio on the way back. They've had a 6 point deduction.
Yeah, but 7 points behind from safety, 7 wins from safety, and hoping in that 7 wins, everyone around you is not picking up a point.
Doesn't pick anything up. Yeah, it's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen. And I just think, I feel so sorry for Derby. I feel so sorry for Rooney. And I think
mainly the fans, I think, more than anything.
Yeah, I massively feel sorry for the fans, because obviously you just remember Derby as a good Premier League club years ago with your One Chop and your Iranios and players like that.
Well, this is one of the teams I mentioned. Like, how many times I've got to the players I thought, especially when there was an exciting team, when Tom Ince was on form, I was thinking, that'd be a great addition to the Premier League at the time, but they just never made that final step, did they? So. But now it's going, and you get a lot of that because you've seen it with Sheffield Wednesday there, and they're in League One. Ipswich had a few flirts.
Well, they got absolutely battered by Plymouth last night. But 3-0. And my friend went, actually. One of my friends went to the game watching Plymouth, and he was he was like, wow. Plymouth didn't really play that well. Looked very comfortable, but Sheffield Wednesday were shite, in his words.
Yeah, they haven't been great. I mean, they let me down at the weekend. They was the only teammate, my little accumulator, but actually let me down, and it was just straightforward win, I think. I think it was in midweek, actually. I'll tell a lie. Yeah, it was midweek. and they were the only team that didn't win. So, oh well.
Well, that's conclude. Oh, did you do your in-game tips for that?
Yeah, I just mentioned Harry Kane first scorer.
Oh yeah, of course
That's
you did.
it, yeah.
Sorry, this brain needs reminding every now and again. We've gone through loads. Well, anyway, guys, that concludes our show for this week. Hope you find everything of interest and some of these betting tips come in good for you. I think there's some good ones there. We're both on the same page with a lot of results this week, which is quite a rarity. But we're doing all right as a whole. Some of these in-game tips, I think, if you can filter out some in between and pick some out, we've done quite well. So
yeah, I bet. Well, that's what I mean. Like in terms of the tips, don't put them all together and then put the bet on it.
Oh, that's it. Don't put a bet on everything.
Just there.
Pick them out.
Yeah, just find maybe a selection of 3, and then think, maybe if I put those 3 together, I get a decent return of maybe 10 to 20 to 1 and put a 5 on it.
Yeah, exactly. Good odds.
Happy days.
Happy days. Well, anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe to keep in contact with us and see what we've got going forward. We'll have another show again next week. And yeah, press the like button if you like the content, and press the bell button to keep up with the reminders. So every time we post something up, you get a reminder. And yeah, thanks. Good to see you again, Lee.
And you, mate. You take care, and I'll see you next week.
Yeah, proper job. So take care, guys. See you next week. Bye-bye.